ready, man. They all showed up. They all showed up.
Vandersloot gives it up. Parker to tie. You bet. Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs. Finds Rose. Rose trying to get open. Fires away. Bang! It's over. The Bulls win at the buzzer. DeRozan to win it! Go! DeMar DeRozan delivers! Anderson hits it into the air to right. Back at the wall, and the White Sox win it! Make one way, Fields stumbling. Trying to cut it back. Justin Fields making magic happen. There goes Fields. Touchdown! Who will receive it first after it is hoisted by the captain? Will it be the 40-year-old defenseman who has longed for this moment? Yes, sir. Walking right, Chicago!
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you are listening to Mike on the Mic and Everything Chicago Sports-Related Podcast. Today, you don't got to sit here and just listen to me babble and talk about BS that, may or may not happen. We have an amazing guest joining the show, a giant. As we know, I'm 5'8", so this 6'6" giant is going to be standing next to me, having a conversation, talking about some Cubs baseball, currently sitting with the Tennessee Smokies in Double-A, 23-year-old right-handed pitcher, Ben Brown. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me, man. This is awesome.
Man, Ben, we've been trying to lock this in since the trade deadline, right?
Yeah, I'm pumped up. We had a week where we're both available to do it, and it's all good stuff.
100%. Before we get into anything, we kind of talked about it backstage. First Cubs convention, 2023. Talk to me about the experience. How was it for you?
Yeah, I kind of leading like the months leading up to CubsCon, I was like, man, I really hope this is a thing. I really hope that I'll be able to go. And when I got that text message that it was on, and get the flight information and everything like that, like I was just so pumped up, and meeting all the fans and seeing the turnout for something that I have no idea why people would want to come watch me play baseball, but man, like seeing people want to come and support, and like that gives me loads of confidence too. And just seeing the guys support the team and seeing how amazing fans are, and it was surreal. So I'm really grateful for it.
Without a doubt. I saw, I was linking up with Matt Mervis, PCA. They were doing amazing things with obvious tees. If you haven't grabbed one of those tees yet, it's Thunder and Lightning t-shirts. They came up with it themselves. Mash says that he's the Lightning, which is crazy to me because he's the bigger of the two. Do you have an opinion on that, Ben? Which one's Lightning? Which one's Thunder?
After seeing Pete run around a little bit, I would say I would be really surprised if Mervis was the Lightning.
Yeah, I was. What? Hey, to each their own, I guess.
Yeah, but maybe they can like split it half and half every once in a while. They can trade names, but
without a doubt. I mean, Pete can rake though. I'm not gonna lie. Pete can bang it. So
yeah, he can.
I guess to each their own. I haven't seen Matt run his 40 yet, but I'm sure he can get after it. I'm sure he's got wheels.
No, he's an athlete. They both are. They both can hit a little bit too.
40 doubles this year. I gotta maybe he is Lightning. Maybe I'll slow down with that one. But for you, man, everybody was kind of everywhere. I know schedules were crazy. It was insane. I saw Brendan Davis was kicking it at the Hawks game. Take us through what one of your most memorable moments, not at CubsCon specifically, but just in Chicago throughout that entire week. What was that like for you? What were you up to?
Well, the Blackhawks team was amazing. It was first class. It was what they did for us was just awesome. I was just blown away. I've never been to a Blackhawks game before. So everything about the organization is like top notch for sure. But what really blew me away was, I would say, like the families bringing their kiddos and like seeing all the kids with their parents or whoever, is bringing them, and just that kind of like family love around CubsCon, like, I don't know. I always like, I'm really close to my mom and dad, and seeing kids roll up with one of their parents to CubsCon, and, they're going through the whole day with the list of things they're taking care of together. And,
Right.
that's just awesome. Yeah, there's nothing better than that. And, that was my favorite thing. That was my wife's favorite thing. Like seeing like a little boy come up and ask for an autograph for a little girl, and yeah, you can't beat that. And conversations with people you never would have met elsewhere. Like, you're getting to find out what inside of these people's lives. Where they're from, how their commute was, how long they've been Cubs fans for, or whatever the case is. So it's really cool.
Without a doubt. And also, I got to give you some love, a big shout out. My guy said his wife, I mean, Ben Brown gets married. Ben Brown's been having a phenomenal year on and off the mound. So I did want to give you your flowers. I love seeing that. It's just an amazing 2022, and hopefully it goes into 2023 and beyond. But
for sure,
getting into that, you kind of talk about the family aspect of it. Something we always do is really just talking about you growing up and what really got you into baseball, what really made you fall in love with the game. Ben, first question, I already told you backstage, best athlete of the family, is it Ben Brown?
I would say it's my dad. I would say I'm on the road to maybe overtaking him. He played soccer at Clemson. So athleticism, and like he never played baseball growing up. And then I wouldn't say he taught me how to play, but he was the one who like caught every bullpen, learned how to play. Like he learned baseball at his like older age, as I was learning as a kid growing up.
Right.
And like, he went from, I don't know what his ability, I don't remember his abilities when I was 2 years old, throwing balls as hard as I can. But like he actually ended up getting really good. And like to the point where like he was catching my bullpens until like I was like a senior in high school.
Right.
After never playing growing up, really. I mean, I'm sure he had a glove and would play with his friends, and he's doing the same thing with basketball right now. Like he never really played basketball, and now he's like, he plays every night, and I'll go to the gym with him and I'll watch him shoot. I'm like, where did this come from? Like, how are you so like, what is this? And then but he, as far as like physicality goes, like he is not really, like he's like same height as my mom. So I got like my height from my mom, and like I would say probably more like the, strength aspect from my mom. I don't know. My dad's a strong guy too, but I would say I got a lot of like the physical aspect from my mom. Definitely. But the athleticism, I'm really hoping that it skipped a generation and my kids can get whatever my dad had, because he's a beast.
Right, without a doubt, without a doubt. Is there any siblings there though? I was trying to figure it out online.
Yeah, I have 2 older siblings. So I and they're both very talented, swinging a baseball bat, playing basketball. So I don't want to roast them, but I might have had the best athletic ability out of the 3, but I'm sure they can debate that, out of the three of us. So I won't call any shots, but I think my dad's got me beat.
Being 6'6", and I gotta ask, because again, I'm out here hooping at your local YMCA's, only being like, my girl says I'm 5'7", that I'm lying. I'm not really 5'8". So I mean, it's whatever, bro. Like it just can't let me have that extra inch. But
yeah,
for you being this kind of ability, especially at a high school level, what was that growth like? What year did you really start peaking at that height?
Yeah, I was probably like 5'10" my freshman year, and then maybe hit 6 foot my sophomore year, and then but the time between like junior and senior summer was like a 4-incher, and then I probably grew like 1 or 2 inches in pro ball.
I hate that so much.
Yeah, but the junior to senior year of high school was like the big growth spurt. That's where a lot of stuff started kind of falling into place too. But like maturity and like skeletal maturity or whatever. But yeah, it was like junior, senior year, and then maybe another inch or 2 after I got drafted.
So for you, at what were you really doing in high school other than baseball? Were you part of the basketball team? I was trying to figure it out, but it's so hard for keeping track of stats like that.
Yeah, no, I was pretty bad at basketball. That's why my dad definitely has the throne for best athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I was like a newborn deer, honestly, running around. And then like obviously I'm not I even if I was a little bit taller, I don't think I'd be talented enough to play basketball in high school.
Right.
So I won't like be like, man, if I was just a little bit tall, like I just wasn't very good. But
That's
yeah,
all right. Hey, right.
I
I'm
wasn't
right
as
there with
tall.
you, man. I'm right there with you. They call me Patrick Beverly over here. All I do is talk shit for 35 minutes and run up and down.
There you go. But yeah, no, I didn't play basketball. I would obviously baseball was just always such a huge priority, and I loved it to death. So I never got tired of it.
Right. I think, something we were talking about too. I was just talking with Jack Sawinski on the Pirates about this because him and I played against each other for 4 years, which again, it's one of those like you can tell guys like Ben Brown, guys like Jack, who are just like so much different than everybody else. He's one of those guys though that, he's in the outfield traditionally, but he can also throw it. I've seen him throw it a couple of times. For you, I was looking at your high school stats. I saw a left fielder and outfielder was also marked right next to your name.
Yeah.
Guys who can pitchers who rake is basically the nice way to say it.
Yeah, I don't
Ben,
rake.
you don't rake, Ben. Even in high school, could you rake?
Nope. No.
Not at all.
I would probably, looking back now as a little bit older, I can probably affirm that I did not rake. If you asked me when I was 17, yeah, I raked,
100%.
but no, I'm telling you, like it was pitching was the one thing that I really molded well with. I mean, I hit pretty well growing up, and then once I got a little bit older, just struggled a little bit. Yeah,
Right.
it was pitching. I wouldn't say that I just never really got better at hitting.
Right.
I just kind of
You just
remained
didn't
pretty
develop
stagnant.
into it.
Yeah, I didn't develop, but
Right.
I just something about throwing ball and pitching was always just it worked out, I guess. So far.
But you kind of talk about that though. You instantly join the Chicago Cubs, top 10 prospect, sitting right now at number 7. It's something where the mechanics of that, you already come in and everybody knows, hey, this is the guy. Who can you say you can attribute that success to the most, whether that be from high school, travel ball, or your time with Philadelphia and New Jersey?
Yeah. I mean, from day one, I've always had incredible coaches for sure. My dad, my big brother, my big brother teach me how to play. And then, my dad kind of harboring, that growth, being there all the time. My mom always being there. But I think the biggest jump came this year, in 22. I was started off the year really struggling, kind of like getting back into baseball for the first time really after being injured for a couple of years and kind of being up and down. And I started off the first month of the season, I had like a 6 ERA, and I wasn't really feeling great. Confidence was pretty low. And my pitching coach, Brad Bergeson, and our mental skills coach with the Phillies at the time, her name is Bree. And they gave me an extra 2 days to be between starts. Just they really wanted to kind of get a good bullpen in. So me and Bergie, we threw like a 30 pitch bullpen. Probably spent like an hour just talking, just getting things under control. And
Right.
And then right after through the bullpen and did my arm care, whatever, I went and I go talk to Bree for like an hour and a half. And it was such like a night and day shift from the previous start to the one after that. Like it was honestly, like, and there was other stuff that happened that week. Like my wife, my fiance at the time, like was like, you got to switch things up. Like we need, like, not like we need you to pitch better, but like you're a mess right now. Like
She was
you're going
talking,
through a
she
tough
was
time.
hyping you up. She was giving you the pep talk.
You need to switch things up. And she's been kind of like doing some cool stuff with nutrition, and she kind of let me into all of her secrets and I took her grocery shopping on FaceTime, and she told me what to get, what not to get. And now I'm fully invested in what we kind of worked on. But at the time, like, she was walking me through everything. And so between Bergie and Bree, I mean, that was huge for me. And then, eating just a little bit differently. I wouldn't say I'd ever ate bad. It was just more so just the ingredients started going into the food. Trying to stay away from a lot of like inflammatory foods. And between that week, just it was in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and it was just it's a week I'll remember for the rest of my life. So it was this year. It was the biggest year, and it was because of those 3 people for sure.
Definitely. I love the nutrition aspect of it because I feel like that's something that not a lot of people hit on. I myself eat horribly. I'm definitely trying to make that change, but it's just hard, man. Everything tastes so good. But it can definitely transform you into a completely different athlete. I was talking to Candace Parker about that throughout the summer, and kind of talking about how, especially longevity of your career, like you said, the inflammation and everything that goes into that. You wouldn't think that comes with, eating just a little bit differently or adding a couple different ingredients. But for you, man, I mean, really breaking it down, kind of taking a step back and looking at, let's talk about 17-year-old Ben Brown gets drafted to the MLB straight out of high school. I mean, that's incredibly insane. I don't even want to tell anybody what I was thinking about or what I was up to during high school, because it was not, hey, I'm going to the show. But you get that phone call, especially from the Philadelphia Phillies, or a respected organization. It's not like respectfully, it's not like you're going to the D-bags or somewhere else. You're going to Philly. Obviously 33rd round. Take us through what that was like, because a lot of people know what the first couple rounds is like, but obviously it's a stressful go after about round 10. I've sat with a few people, especially we sat down with Matt Mervis, talked to him about that. Where were you on draft night when you got your name called, and who broke that to you?
So after round 30, that's when it got stressful for me, because I wasn't really expecting to be. I thought the highest I was going to go was like 18. And like the difference between 18 and 30, really, there's no difference. The difference between like 12 and 18, I guess, is a bigger difference than like 12 and 30 or 11 and 18. I think like the last like cool round to get drafted in is like round 12. And then everything after that is just like a free for all, it feels like. Just it was probably harder for me just because I put all my eggs in one basket. Like, man, like I really, really, I did not need to get drafted, but I really wanted to get drafted. I did not want to go to school. Not because I wasn't like a good student. I wanted to play ball. Like that was my dream. And so I had no intentions of going to college. And like I made my mind up the first time a scout saw me in my senior year. It was like, all right, I'm in. Like, come on. And then it went from like, desperately texting scouts, like, I'll sign for anything, like whatever you got, like I'll sign, like, come on, just call my name, which is probably not the way to do it looking back at it. But obviously I wasn't being like annoying about it. Just like I was just desperate.
Just
what I
2 a.m. phone calls and texts, just spamming everybody like, hey, you up? Like, what's up?
Basically. But no, I was just a huge relief getting drafted. And like I signed for a plane ticket essentially, and and on the terms of how much money dude signed for, I signed for a plane ticket and an opportunity. And if we can go back and see if I could have done things differently or whatever the case is, like obviously not a lot of high schoolers sign that late in the draft, when there was 40 rounds. But I wouldn't change a thing, because ultimately, that chip on my shoulder from getting drafted late was a good thing. And I'm grateful for it for sure.
Definitely. Now, this is the part I love. I was really excited to talk to you about it, because a lot of the times when we have these conversations, a lot of guys feel uncomfortable just because they're with the team that drafted them. Now that the Phillies are out of the way, like, let's not even look at them, forget them. Like, whatever. Were there any other teams in contact with you at the time talking about potentially drafting you that you kind of were really excited about, or just kind of had that, thought throughout the draft, like, I don't know who's going to take me?
Yeah, I thought there were. So, I mean, supposedly I was put in by 12 teams. I think you have to like be entered into whatever. But I mean, like I said, like my expectations were high in the fact that I thought I was going to get drafted, but low, and like I didn't think I was going to get drafted high. So there was 4 teams where I was like pretty like convinced it was going to be one of them if it happened. So like going through the draft, I'm like waiting for those 4. Obviously, the Phillies being one of them. And then it was. I guess it doesn't really matter if I just say it, but
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter
yeah,
anymore.
it was. So it was the New York Mets, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Minnesota Twins, and the Texas Rangers. And the Twins and the Phillies I did pre-drafts for, so that would explain, that interest there. And then the Mets just being local, and they drafted dudes from my high school before.
Right.
And then the Rangers do a lot of Northeast scouting. And I had a lot of respect for that Ranger scout. And he's still a great dude. And so those are like the 4 teams I kind of developed a relationship with that maybe could have been a possibility, but that was it. I mean, I probably had like 5 games my senior year to showcase myself. So I got lucky that even a couple teams were interested. So
definitely, I'm sure that Ranger scout's looking back right now at the GM of the Mets or the Rangers and being like,
yeah,
dude, like we literally could have had DeGrom, Leiter, Ben Brown, like it could have been a whole thing. But
it's all he's a good. They're all really good people, and they made all those emails and texts that went on that senior, like they made all my dreams come true at the time. So they definitely they probably did some bad stuff for my ego and made me feel like I was a man when I was 17.
Oh, definitely.
But
walking out of classrooms to respond to emails.
Yeah,
like,
whatever it was, that probably was a negative. But them texting me and reaching out to me was always really kind. And I'm grateful for that time in my life. It was surreal. And it wasn't like I was a first rounder. Like I was as late as it gets. But it was just like for whatever I received, whatever attention I got, it was just surreal, and I'll always be grateful for those couple of weeks or months or whatever.
Definitely. Now, going through, the Phillies organization, we're not going to spend too much time on it, but really just breaking that down, going through rookie ball, single A, double A throughout those years, what were the biggest impacts for you in those years that kind of really shaped you into who you are now, kind of transfer from that, hey, I didn't play a single lick of college ball, but this is why I'm here today. This is why I'm a top 10 prospect in this system.
Yeah. I think the first couple of years I was trying to do whatever I could do to be like the good guy. Show up as early as I can, stay as late as I can, do whatever the coach is telling me to do. And just try to it almost felt like I was just like the guy who was just sticking around just because I was a good teammate or I worked hard. And then, I finally started to kind of see that stuff doesn't really matter if you're not talented. It's old great. But I was my second full year. I thought I had a pretty decent spring training, but I had a good year the year before in 2018. So I was pretty much expecting to, hopefully break with the team. And I didn't. So I went to extended in 2018 or 2019. And that was heartbreaking. It was oh my gosh, I just got put in extended. It just all became a reality. Everything that I did off the field, and not saying you shouldn't work ethic is different when I'm talking about. This is more so doing the stuff that you don't really have to do. Just to try to
you don't have to be the last guy out of the gym.
Yeah, all this stuff you want to do just to prove that you want to be there.
Right.
And it didn't matter. So I get put in extended, and I'm there for a couple of weeks, and I finally get a chance to go to full season, and I end up shoving there, and then I blow out my elbow. So, but with the knowledge, I still went to extended, man.
Right.
I don't really mean much to this organization. I'm just a roster guy.
Right.
So that Tommy John rehab, I started turning things around. I eliminated, and you just heard me talk about how last April I eliminated things from my diet. But at the time, I thought I eliminated everything from my diet.
Right. And there's always so much more you could do.
Yeah. I completely flipped all of my habits around. I everything there was. I took any hole or anything that was wrong with me that wasn't, and I got rid of it.
Right.
I was okay, elimination. I'm not even gonna attempt it. I'm getting rid of it. Just as I wanted to be as competitive as possible going through the rehab, and I wanted to be really good. And that rehab came around, and it went. And obviously 2020 happened, and
Right.
ended up in spring training in 2021, 18 months after, and all of a sudden I'm a priority in spring training because I started throwing harder. And
Right.
so that's really what matters, which is unfortunate because it's like you wish it's like you always wish it's like the best guys who go above and beyond to be the best teammates, and like
Yep.
you wish like, oh, like those are the dudes that are gonna make it. But like it's the guy, and like that's a huge part of it, and a huge part of sticking around.
Mhm.
And you should be a good teammate regardless. Like that shouldn't even be a question. But it's like they only really care about you if you're good,
Right. Now,
and
for you though, I did want to touch on that with you. The Tommy John aspect. Was
yeah,
there, I've heard some people kind of have mixed feelings about it. Some people
yeah,
are terrified, and other people are like, "F yeah, like I'm about to throw
yeah,
a lot harder." Like,
yeah.
take me through like maybe not the first 24 hours of the emotions, but like kind of going into that surgery, kind of understanding, my UCL is definitely blown, but I'm gonna come back better than this.
No, I was 100% on the train of I'm gonna come back better,
So
and
hype.
it's the
He was
best
so
thing for
hype.
me. Yeah, I mean, I'm still really close to my high school coach,
Mhm.
and yeah, I talk to him every week, and he's kept telling me and my parents like this is gonna be the best thing for your career. This is gonna be the best
Mhm.
thing for your career, and he's never lied to me. Like that dude went up to me like when I was a sophomore, like when I had no business playing professional
Right.
baseball, and like you're gonna get drafted, and he's he's always giving me every opportunity in the book, and he told me this is gonna be the best thing for my career, and I also believe that just and I did my due diligence to find the best surgeon I could find, um, and I had full confidence going into that this was going to be a good thing for sure,
Right.
and it was.
Definitely. And getting into it, we're obviously going to talk about the trade and everything that
Mhm.
transpired. But before we get into that, I was shocked. I was shocked when I saw what we got. Obviously, closers are worth a lot in today's
Yeah,
game. And, the Phillies had a phenomenal season coming up just short of a championship. Shout out to Dusty and the Astros. They played a great
yeah,
game. But, and Schwarbs, got to give love to Schwarbs and Nick. But, really looking at it for what it is, looking at your season, were you shocked at, after having, you have almost a sub 3 ERA and 15 starts with the you were in I believe Jersey Shore, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
And you were over there and you were dealing. I was actually watching you the majority of the season, kind of just trying to see at what point you were going to get brought up to the Phillies organization, because we saw how the World Series went, saw they were missing kind of a couple starters.
yeah.
But for you, what went into that 2022 season where you were just playing the best ball that you've played so far?
Yeah, no, it was that week up in Bowling Green, and started to catch fire and started to really
Mhm.
work on my approach, and I mean health was probably the biggest aspect of all of that though.
Without a doubt. And,
Yeah,
obviously, getting into that, the David Robertson trade, were you kind of shocked about, you put in all this work, they've held on to you as long as they had, you've
yeah,
been there since you're 17, you're 23 now, you finally start really becoming who you are supposed to be. And then you get shipped off to the Chicago Cubs. Can you take me through like what that was like? Was there a phone call that was made? Who did you speak to?
yeah. My farm director with the Phillies, who was absolutely like such a gift this year. Like
Mhm.
he just came over in 21 or at the end of 21, and I mean, I owe so much of everything that happened this year to him. And he called me and basically, like, I mean, he broke the news and talked about, last couple months, how much fun we've had. And that was it. And then I'm, trying to get flight information to go to
Right.
Rocket City to go to Alabama.
Without a doubt, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to ask you. You could lie to me if you want to.
Yeah.
You could spit the truth. This is a free. You could uncensored, censored, whatever you want it to be. Were you upset at all when the Phillies went to the World Series?
No, no, I wasn't.
Not at all.
I had so many friends on that team. Um, I watched every single game,
Hmm.
and like I mean that will be the last time ever that I'll be able to like root for another team that I'm not playing for or part of
Right.
the organization. Like that was like my one excuse.
Hmm.
Because like I had so many buddies on that team, and I just came from that team. I felt like I was kind of a part of it in a way, just because I got traded for a guy who's contributing.
Right.
I wanted Robertson to do really well. I wanted the
Mhm.
Phillies to do
Oh,
really well,
definitely.
um, and like I was just pumped for my buddies, seeing them on TV, and it was cool. Yeah,
Without a doubt. And you had a phenomenal stint too. I was watching every single game I could. Obviously, you didn't get a full season with the Tennessee Smokies, but you have a 4 ERA in 7 games started. Can you kind of take us through the transition there? There was a little bit of a difference between,
Yeah.
obviously, the competition that you were facing in New Jersey versus, or not New Jersey, I'm sorry, Jersey Shore. It's all the same
Yeah,
thing.
it's all the same.
It's all the same
Yeah.
thing. But in all seriousness, the competition changed a lot. And obviously a lot of people say the difference between single A and double A isn't really necessarily the hitters, it's the pitching. You're getting
Yeah.
guys who have a lot of off-speed stuff, who have a lot of different versions of themselves. So, what were those conversations like? And, if you could, the relationships you built kind of early on, who would you say was some of your favorite people in the organization?
Oh man, I absolutely love Michael Ryan. I mean, I want to talk about that first, but I think Michael Ryan, our manager, was just. I mean, I had such a joy playing for him,
Mhm.
and that was right off the bat. Like right off the bat, probably the first person I really talked to, and so that was awesome. And then my teammates were just amazing. I mean, the Cubs org is it's different, man. I've met so many amazing friends and teammates and coaches and coordinators all in like the first week. Um, as far as like hitters and stuff go for like competition, I mean I felt like I wasn't really at my best when I was there. I felt like I didn't have the best fastball command. I felt like everything was a little bit different.
Right.
But at the same time, that was like my first time kind of pitching away from the Phillies organization my entire life. That was the
Mhm.
first time kind of getting a little bit of a culture shift. And I think like, where I came up short probably reflected that,
Mhm.
fastball command and execution. Um, so, it's no excuses, but I think like I have a better plan of how I'm going to kind of execute that next year. And, I'm looking forward to kind of I learned a lot in
Right.
double A, mostly from my failures,
Right.
which is huge. And if that's the thing about baseball is if you're constantly making adjustments, you're gonna put yourself in a good spot. So.
Definitely. And I love it because a lot of people that don't know, there's specific teams that I think you could look at as a Cubs fan right now. If you
Yeah.
want to see the hitters, hey, you got Brennan Davis, you got Matt Mervis in AAA, but I always say it, if you want to see the future rotation of the Chicago Cubs, it's the Tennessee Smokies right now. I mean, we're talking about Riley Thompson, we're talking about Jordan Wicks, we're looking at DJ Hers, we're looking at Zach Lee, who not a lot of people know about Zach, but Zach is one of the best closers in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he's phenomenal. And then adding you to that mix, did you pick the brains of anybody while you were there? And I forgot Bailey Horn. Got to give some love to Bailey.
Yeah. Bailey's gross.
Can't
Yeah.
believe that was one of my favorite things ever because especially stealing them from the White Sox, it was just like
Yeah.
it made my heart great. It was just like a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
But
Bailey's really good.
whose brain did you kind of pick the most and like kind of just like not stick with, not stand side by side the entire time,
Yeah.
but definitely try to, just continue to pick their brain and really just learn from them.
Well, like I said, like our coaches and managers were awesome. So like
Mhm.
Verm and like Orion, like I learned so much from them just having conversation with them, and
Right.
our bench coaches as well. Like it was sweet. Pitching wise, who like I think has like the best stuff ever. Who I think's really good that nobody really talk. I mean, well, there's two guys, but that were there is like Walker Powell was like watching
Mhm.
him compete was just ridiculous. And then Ryan Jensen is like he has the nastiest stuff, and I've
Yeah.
probably some of the nastiest stuff I've ever seen in my life. So like watching him throw and watching him, everyone's different. Obviously, you don't want to like jump on, or you don't want to start throwing like somebody else when you're
Right.
supposed to throw like yourself. But watching like Jenny and Walker Powell, it was Walker Powell the way he would compete was like really impressive. And
Right.
I mean, watching Ryan Jensen throw and work it was pretty sweet. But I learned a lot from a lot of those guys, and it was a lot of great baseball talk. And Chris Clark, who's with the Seattle Mariners now, and it's just a lot of it was like coming over. I'm like a lot of the questions I would be like, hey, what's that guy's name again? Like who's that? What's that coach's name that came today?
Right.
Or like what do the Cubs do for you in the off season? Or like
Right.
what's the facility like in Arizona? Or which is probably like another reason why I was like I had so many questions, and like I should have probably locked it in a little bit more without trying to figure out everyone's name and trying to figure out what's knew where the Cubs were and who's that and who's
Right.
this. But on the pitching side, watching those guys throw is a blast. I mean, Wicks,
Definitely.
DJ is a workhorse, man. Like Wicks is nasty. Riley Thompson, like really amazing stuff he's got. Like
Right.
everyone is such a treat to watch. And like you mentioned, like Zach and Bailey Horn. I mean, I watched Bailey Horn. He's like one of those guys. I'm like, who is this guy?
Right.
What in the world?
Quiet,
Like,
very
it's just,
quiet,
and
does his
like,
own thing.
but you watch him on the mound, and it's like I said, like who would like? Why have I never heard of this guy? Like it's like his slider is absolutely disgusting, and he probably is one of the best left-handed fastballs I've ever seen. So it was a really cool staff. I mean, I've never been around that many amazing hitters too, and like just as much as I talk to pitchers about pitching, as like I talk to hitters about hitting,
Right.
and see what they're looking for, and they're so bright, and you know, there's so much intellect, and like between all the hitters on the team, like they mashed.
Right.
So it was really cool.
Dude, I think my favorite one so far, I have us up there as well. Me and you trying to figure out our schedules is definitely
Yeah,
one of the funniest ones. But Riley Thompson is hilarious because he's
yeah,
so serious too. Like I
yeah.
was
He's
like,
locked in.
he's like, man, listen, I want to come on your show. I was like, all right, man, we can, I got next Friday available. Dude, I
Yeah,
hit him. I got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I have whatever you want to do. We can do it. He goes, no, you don't get it. And I was like, what? And he said, I'm injured right now. I'm coming off an injury. I'm not coming on your show until I have good things to talk about. And I was like, are you for real? And I was like, no, it's cool. Like, we can just like talk about college and talk about high school and all that other stuff, like the future. He was like, no. He was like, I'm coming on when we have positive things to talk about. He goes,
yeah.
let me get back to you for 2023. And I was like, hey, bro, like I respected it so much.
He's a dog. He's very serious for
They're
sure.
very serious about their
Yeah,
craft. And I think, one of the fun ones too is Cole Roedier. Cole Roedier is one of those guys.
yeah.
I mean, he can mash. So like
Yeah, Rhodey's a man.
really seeing them be able to, do what they're doing and kind of looking towards the future of this team, Ben, how excited are you, kind of being able to grow up with these guys and kind of be a part of this family that, obviously the Cubs are trying to create right now. You saw from CubsCon how
Yeah,
serious they're taking the young guys. I mean, the kids are coming and they're coming fast, and you're a part of that. So how ecstatic are you kind of to just embrace that?
yeah. It's something like it's just a dream come true. It's all these amazing guys, and they're also they're amazing baseball players, but they're all really good dudes. And
Right.
being surrounded by, you can tell like the Cubs have a guy like people they're looking for, like character wise, like they don't trade for guys or pick guys or sign guys on accident. Like
Right.
every guy top to bottom is like, awesome, like really great guy. And like you've seen that just from talking to him, but it's so cool. And like, you see all their names pop up on Twitter every once in a while, and you're like, God, there he is. There's our boy. Like it's awesome.
Definitely. I want to ask you this too, because I've heard it from Brennan and I've heard it from other guys as well. Ryan Jensen, is he kind
Yeah,
of like the dad of the whole team? Because I've heard he takes care of Brennan and Cole and everybody else as
yeah,
much as he can.
yeah. I obviously I met him in Tennessee, and
Right.
then I went down to Arizona after the season was over for a couple of things, just to throw a bullpen and kind of get acclimated to everybody. And he showed me around the entire facility, introduced me to every single person. Kind of like he's the man. Yeah, he's the
Right.
organizer. He's like the talker. They'll get you introduced to somebody. There's never like an awkward moment around. I am like so grateful for a dude like him. Like he's been such a good friend, and we've been down in Arizona all winter together, and we play catch together. And I'm not grateful for how hard he throws and how nasty his stuff is, because man, like my hand's always kind of blown up.
Mhm.
But he's really good, dude.
Definitely.
He definitely takes care of all of his friends, and he's a good friend and good teammate.
Without a doubt. Now, before we get you out of here, we have a couple more things we got to talk about.
Yeah.
One is all you can relax, everything's chill. We just got to talk about Chicago foods, what you're most excited about. But first is really just the 2023 season. A lot of people have these whiteboards or these blackboards that they write on, and they kind of have these ideas of this is what my goal is this season from a pitcher standpoint. This is what I want to work on, but this is my goal as a player. For you,
Yeah.
what are you really excited to work on the most going into 2023? And this is kind of obviously we all know where you want to be straight out of high school. We know where he wants to be. He wants to be in the show. But where do you expect to see yourself by the end of the 2023 season, whether that's AAA or on a major league roster?
Yeah, I mean, I want to be able to contribute if I'm able to, and any opportunity I get to contribute to the major league team or the AAA team or the AA team, like I want to contribute. I want to work my tail off. I want to be a horse. I want to go out there every fifth day and I want to throw as many innings as I can. I think showing health and that's going to be big for me. And, I'm really excited that, if I can make 25, 30 starts, healthy starts and pitch deep into games and strike out guys, I'm really excited to see where the year can take us. So.
Without a doubt. Now, definitely, this is probably the most important thing I'm going to ask you today. Ben Brown.
Yeah.
You walk into a Chicago hot dog stand. What are you asking on your hot dog right now?
Well, I've heard don't ask for ketchup in Chicago.
He's winning already.
Yeah, so throw everything else on it. Throw it on. Just get it going. I'll eat it. Yeah.
100%. Now, thin crust, pardon me, or deep dish pizza. Have you ever tried deep dish pizza, and what's that experience been like for you?
Have you ever tried deep dish pizza?
I'm going to make you feel so much more comfortable right now.
No, right?
I absolutely hate it. Like it's not.
Yeah,
it's not good.
I heard it's like a conspiracy.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know who likes it, but everyone backs it. But
Right.
Everyone talks about it like it's Chicago's pizza. But
I'll tell you right now, Ben. We don't eat it.
Yeah, that's what I heard. But if I'm gonna get deep dish, I want to go to like the best.
Right.
Like I need like number one because I don't want to have like oh man I had this. Then I want someone to be like, well, you have to try this.
Right.
Like I want to go to the best spot. I want to knock it out. I am not biased against it. I've just never had it. And also it's just I haven't really heard a lot of love for it.
No, it's literally it's like you're on the go, so you just eat like 5 slices at once. That's what, and there's no bread. That's what that feels like. But if you were to say you come to Chicago, let's say mid-season, me and you linking up, we got to go somewhere. It's definitely either Lou Malnati's, in my opinion, or D'Agostino's. You can't go wrong with either.
Yeah, I've heard Lou Malnati's. Is that how you say it?
Lou Malnati's.
Lou Malnati's. Okay, yeah.
I don't know. I call it Lou's, so that's just,
Lou's. I'll go with Lou's because every time I can't say things right.
No, it's
so
cool.
I'll go with Lou's. But I've heard that place like a bunch.
Right. Yeah.
I think that might as of now that's the spot to go.
It's definitely forever and always the spot. But me myself, they have this. I'm so weird because we'll all go get pizza and I'll get a meatball sandwich. They make the best meatball subs like in the world. And I don't even talk about their pizza. But our last question before we get you out of here, and obviously I told you plugging in your Instagram or anything else that you got going on, we're definitely gonna plug it all in. Last Chicago question. Right now, Cubs versus Sox. Let's talk about World Series futures. Ben Brown, who wins the World Series first?
Cubs are winning the World Series first.
That's the only. He's 10 out of 10 on this entire interview. But Ben, brother, we appreciate you coming on, man. Really quickly, for everybody, where can they find you on social media platforms or anything you got going on?
I think my Instagram is benbrown24. I'm not super active on social media, but you can find me there. And then Twitter, I believe, is benbrown5499. I don't think there's any underscores there, but it's there. And you might see me tweet every once in a while. I'm mostly a big retweeter. If I see like pictures of my friends or something. But you can see some cool baseball stuff. And I'm excited to get to know everyone around Chicago a lot more, and I'm grateful for you having me on today. It's been a blast.
Man, we definitely got to get up soon. We definitely got to link up when you finally get here. We're gonna attempt to enjoy some deep dish pizza, but
we got it, man.
Again, brother, thank you for coming on. Everybody listening, this has been Ben Brown. You are listening to Mike on the Mic and Everything Chicago sports related.